Good morning, children. Today's lesson for class 10 English is Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. How many of you have heard the name Nelson Mandela? Anybody? From where he is? Did anybody of you have noticed the name of Nelson Mandela? Okay. Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. After 300 years of British rule, the Britishers had ruled almost all the countries of the whole world. Can anybody of you tell me how many years does the Britishers had ruled India? Can anybody of you tell me how many years the Britishers have ruled over India? It was from 1857 to 1947, a period of 100 years. In the year 1857, the Indians, for the first time, they have revolted against the Britishers in the form of Sepoy Mutiny. The Britishers called this as Sepoy Mutiny, but the Indians have called it as the First War of Indian Independence. It was in the year 1857. From 1857, through different stages, the Indians have attained independence. Same is the case with South Africa. In South Africa, the Britishers have ruled for a period of 300 years. After that, after 300 years, South Africa became a democratic nation. South Africa became a democratic nation. What is democracy? Democracy is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. It has become a democracy because what is the other form of government? The other form of governments are monarchical form of government, aristocratic form of government, democratic form of government. It means that the people cast their vote to their leaders and the leaders will rule over the country. It means that the people themselves are ruling over the country because they were casting their vote to the person whom they desire as good. So, South Africa had become a democratic country. In 1994, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of the country. What is black president and white president? In South Africa, there was a policy called apartheid. Apartheid is nothing but racial discrimination on par with race. The black people are called as Negroes. The white people are called as the English people. The white people never liked the black people. They always humiliated them, insulted them. They looked upon the black people as servants, as their servants. Slavery was prevailing. A black person must do slavery to the white person. Soon after the birth of a person, every black person must be a slave to the white people. You see, it was in the year 1994 that Nelson Mandela became the first black president of the country. He was sworn in on 10th May 1994. The inauguration ceremony was held in Pretoria, the name of the place where the inauguration ceremony was held. It means that soon after the completion of the general elections, whichever party comes in power, they will take some time in order to take the oath in office. For example, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Honorable Chief Minister Sri Jagan Mohan Reddy. They will take some time in order to take the oath. Why? They wanted to invite the other dignitaries of other states. It will take some time in order to see the safety and security of the people who are coming from different places. That is why it will take time. Here also, we find that Nelson Mandela, he was taking charge as the first black president of South Africa. He invited the dignitaries of almost all the countries of the whole world. The ceremony has taken place at a place called Pretoria, 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 in South Africa. You see, dignitaries from all over the world came to South Africa to see the historic movement. It is really a very good historic movement. Never in the history of South Africa that a black person has taken the oath of the president of South Africa. It was the first time that Nelson Mandela, he was considered to be the most popular ruler of South Africa. To see this historic movement, many dignitaries had visited the country. The extract is taken from Nelson Mandela's biography. How do you know, sir? You see, the political people, they will be writing their own biography. The person who writes about his own life is biography, and another person will be writing about a great person is called autobiography. In the biography, he has written about himself in his biography, where he talks about the historic day and his amusing of various things related to the freedom struggle, as to how the freedom has attained to South Africa, as to how they fought in order to attain the freedom to South Africa by different stages, just as Mahatma Gandhi has entered the Indian national movement in the year 1920, and how he struggled in different stages in order to attain the independence to India. Like that, Nelson Mandela in South Africa, he had described in different manner as to how they have achieved the freedom struggle from the white people to the black people. Racial discrimination on the matters of race. In India, we are having the caste differences, whereas in foreign countries, they were having the racial discrimination. They were blacks and they were whites, between the white and the blacks. Now, in South Africa, apartheid was practiced by the white rulers. What do you mean by apartheid? Apartheid is nothing but racial discrimination. I told you in the beginning that there was racial discrimination in South Africa. Under this policy, whites and blacks were kept separate from each other. No white person should meet the black person. No black person should meet the white person. There was a lot of racial discrimination between the blacks and the whites. Between the blacks and the whites. Blacks were discriminated against and ill treated. They were not only discriminated, they were ill treated by the white people. Ill treated. They bitterly oppose such racial discrimination. So, the black people had bitterly why? What is the necessity to have such type of racial discrimination between the blacks and the whites? All people are equal in the eyes of law. They had opposed bitterly about the racial discrimination that was shown by the Britishers. At last, after a long struggle, this system was abolished and democratic elections were held. Okay, from this time, this racial discrimination will not be entertained. Come on, let us have the elections. Thus, they have the elections. Nelson Mandela, he was considered to be a very great popular ruler from among the people of South Africa. And what is the theme of the lesson? The extract explores theme of true meaning of freedom. What is the true meaning of freedom? Suppose, for example, if at all any country has got a freedom, it lies on the part of the ruler that she should not have any type of discrimination among the people of the country. The people had given them power in order to rule the country and to provide the most necessary needs for the people. They were food, shelter and clothing. But people are discriminating on religion. People are discriminating on caste. People are discriminating on race. In South Africa, there was racial discrimination, but whereas in India, there was caste differences. You see? Fight for independence. The theme tells us that there is a long fight for independence and dichotomy between the oppressor and the oppressed. The difference between the people who struggle and the difference between the people who had made them struggle. This is the theme of the lesson. Nelson Mandela. You see, in this extract, Mandela recalls how the inauguration day was celebrated and the feeling at the time of those celebrations. He reflects upon the whole history of South Africa's African struggle as well as his own life. He shed his last drop of blood for the sake of the country, for the sake of his country. He pays a tribute to thousands of South African fighters who sacrificed their lives for the cause of independence. You see, during the national movement, we find that many people will die, lose their lives. And those people who had lost their lives, Nelson Mandela really wept for the sake of the people who had lost their lives. You see, he says that from the freedom fighters he learned that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the victory over fear. The victory over fear is courage. The brave man is not one who does not feel afraid, but one who overcomes fear. There should not be any fear. Suppose, for example, if at all anybody is feeling any fear, they have to try the best in order to overcome their fear. Then only it is confirmed that he had won that fear. Freedom meant different things to him at different stages of his life. At the latest stage of his life, he realized that the true meaning of freedom is freedom for all. Yes. It does not mean that freedom, suppose for example, if at all any country has got the freedom, it is only for the sake of some particular society or section of people, but it is the freedom for all the people residing in the territory of that country. He says that. You see, in spite of the long and painful struggle for independence, Mandela bears no malice against the white rulers. He says that no, all these days they have made us struggle. They have exploited us. They have made us they have made us servants. But we will not take any revenge against them. We will teach them a lesson. You see, mister, this is not the way. We have given the power to you not to discriminate anybody, but to look upon each and every citizen of the country in a proper manner. The oppressor remained chained to hatred, to hatred. You see, the theme of the lesson is meaning of freedom, humanity. There should be some humanity, humanity among the people. There should be some logic among the people, saying that the people had given us power in order to rule them. But what we are doing, we are discriminating them on par with religion, on par with caste, on par with race. That is not at all a good thing. A person who has taken the presidentship must look upon the people as their own father. Whichever caste, whichever race, whichever religion she belongs. That is what Nelson Mandela has told in his inaugural address. A very beautiful lesson about Nelson Mandela, children. In history, you will be coming about so many things like that, where Mahatma Gandhi had struggled hard in order to attain the independence to India. In India, in different stages, in Madras, a famous lawyer by name Tangtur Prakasam Pantulu had staged a black flag demonstration against the Britishers in order to go them again. Why? Because of the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. A tragedy took place at a place called Jallianwala Bagh, where thousands of Indians were shot dead. The blood of the Indians flowed like water. In order to inquire, a commission had come from England, which is called as the Simon Commission. When the Simon Commission has stood Madras, a famous lawyer by name Tangtur Prakasam Pantulu had staged a black flag demonstration asking the Britishers to go back. Do you know what they have done? Immediately they have opened fire and they wanted to shoot at Prakasam Pantulu. With a great dare, he tore open his shirt and asked the Britishers to first fire on him. Thus, the Britishers have taken aback. There were so many other stages. So many people were killed for the sake of attaining the independence towards the country. That's what Nelson Mandela is also saying. He was paying tribute to the people who had strived their lives in order to attain independence for South Africa. This is what about Nelson Mandela. Thank you all.